Hi, and welcome to lesson number 1 in our Getting Started on the Drum series. Again, my name is Josh Lappin, and I'm from parttimedrummer.com. And in lesson number 1, we're going to show you exactly what you need to get set up to start playing drums. Now, we're going to do this in 2 parts. We're going to do the first equipment recommendation for those of you who are on an extreme budget. We are going to actually show you how you can get started for less than $100. And then for those of you who may have a slightly bigger budget, we're actually going to give you some recommendations on drum sets and things like that. All right, so let's get started. So our first recommendation for brand new drummers is that, of course, you want to get a set of drumsticks and a practice pad and possibly a metronome. So let us show you how you can find one of those. As you can see here, I am at one of my favorite online music retailers, sweetwater.com. They are where I purchase the majority of my gear, but should you have another favorite one, I also provide some other alternatives and some great recommendations for those as well. So we are at sweetwater.com's homepage. We're going to go down to the shop by category and go to drums and percussion. We're going to start by looking for drumsticks. So we're going to go to drum and percussion accessories. And then we're looking for drumsticks right here. And then you'll have 437 different drumsticks to choose from. Now, all of these drumsticks are probably would do the job, some of them better than the others, but right off the start here, Sweetwater knows from past purchase histories and things like that what are the most popular and the best-selling drumsticks, and the recommendations that they give you on the first page are really very good here. What they have a little starter pack here, which is one of the drumsticks I'm going to recommend for beginners. This is a 2-pack, so you get 2 pairs of drumsticks, but the main thing is that these are Vic Firth 5A drumsticks. These are, in my opinion, a really good stick to get started with. They're pretty light, they're pretty solid, they'll get you through a lot of different gigs, and they're just a great overall stick, a great beginner stick, or a stick for anyone for that matter. They are a little bit on the lighter side, so I tend to use them for things on the drum set that require a more moderate volume. So just keep that in mind. So this is going for about $19, but keep in mind that it's 2 pairs of sticks. If you just want to get 1 pair, I'm sure that you could find some for about what these go for about $8. And my second recommendation would also be the Vic Firth. There's the single version. As you can see, it's about $10. So 1 pair of good drumsticks is about $9 to $10. But I would also recommend that if you're a little bit of a stronger guy, that maybe you would consider something like the 5B series. So I'm just quickly browsing through and see if I can find a pair of those. Here we go. Big Earth 5B wood tip. These are very similar to the 5A. They're just a little bit thicker. So, like I said, if you want a little bit of a bigger stick, this is a great recommendation here. So my recommendation for your first pair of drumsticks would be a Big Firth American Classic, either 5A or 5B wood tip. And those you should be able to get a pair of those for less than $10. Like I said, this is Sweetwater, but there also are other websites out there that you can get these things, like musiciansfriend.com. You would just do something similar. Go to drums and percussion, accessories and sticks, and there you would be able to find a wide variety of sticks from a lot of different other companies as well. You also have Guitar Center. Like I said, very similar. You could do very similar search. Or if you're an Amazon fan, you could just go to Amazon. And you can see that the 5A is really high in the search results already. It's a great drumstick. And you can see that you can buy various versions from various retailers there, all for about the same price. Okay, so there's your drumstick. So you should be able to get a set for about $10. A second recommendation for equipment in regards to drummers just getting started is to actually get a practice pad. So we're going to go back to Sweetwater and go to percussion and drum percussion and accessories and go to practice pads. Now, a practice pad is a device for practice. They range in sizes from about 6 to 12 inches. Could be a little bit bigger or less depending on what they're being used for. But the idea is that you can use one of these instead of an actual snare drum. So if, like you said, if you're on an extreme budget and you cannot afford to get a drum set right now or a snare drum, you can definitely get started with just a practice pad. And here is the one that I recommend the most. This is the Evans 12-inch real-filled two-sided practice pad. It's got one side of a soft, bouncy rubber and one side with a harder rubber surface to give you two different textures to practice on. And this is, like I said, a great tool for those of you getting started, but also it's great for just any drummers in general. I still use my practice pad to this day. Like I said, it's an alternative to a snare. You can still hear it, but it's quite a bit quieter, so you can actually get some practice in and not annoy your family or your friends or your roommates or your neighbors. Great for working on rudiments and reading exercises in snare drum technique. So it also can be used on any surface. You can just throw it on top of a coffee table, countertop, and there you go. You can start practicing without having to have a whole lot of gear. In addition, you can also carry this thing around in a book bag so that if you have time to practice somewhere else, you can just just pull it out and go to work on it. All right, so this one is going for about $35 right now. This is the 12-inch version, though. So if we go back, we may be able to find a smaller version. Let's see, we've got 56 recommendations here. I'm looking for a smaller version of one of these. Let's see what we can find here. As you can see, there's a wide variety. Okay, here's one. If you wanted to stick with the real feel, they've been around a long time. Here's a 6-inch version, and that one's $20. So if you're looking to save a little bit, there's an alternative for you. And just quickly scrolling through a little bit more. So there's a lot of different practice pads out there. So buy the one that interests you the most. But I really think that the real feels from Evans are really great deals. So there is the 12-inch and the 6-inch. All right, that's the practice pad. Like I said, all the other drum retailers, Musician's Friend, Guitar Center, or even Amazon should have something for you. And here again, I just typed in practice pad in Amazon, and you can see that the Evans Real Feel comes up as one of the top recommendations. But if there's some, that Remo one down there too is a great practice pad. I've used that before too. All right, the next thing that you're going to need is going to be some kind of timekeeping device. That could be, well, I'm specifically referring to a metronome. Now, a metronome you can get as a standalone device, which we're going to see here. Going back to drums and percussion accessories. Let's see if we can find one. It may be a tad bit harder to find the metronome in this section. Let's do a search. Metronome. Okay. Like I said, these are the standalone products. And you're looking probably between $25 to $50 for a kind of basic starter metronome. I'm sure any of these would work just fine. But essentially what a metronome is, it's a device that keeps time. It will allow you to set a time signature and a beats per minute. So time signature is something that we'll discuss in a later video, but it's essentially the feel of the music and how many beats per measure that you're going to get. Then you have your tempo aspect, which is going to be how fast or slow you're playing. The whole point of the metronome is to train you to be a very good timekeeper and a good consistent drummer. So this one's going for about $35. That's one option for a standalone. However, if you do own a smartphone, I am very sure that there are various apps out there, metronome apps that you can download and use on your phone should you choose to do that. I have the iPhone and I use an application, a metronome application called, let's see, it's called Pro Metronome. And it's from EUM Labs. And it works just fine. Allows me to carry my metronome everywhere because it is on my phone. So there you are. So this is the first level of recommendations. You have drumsticks, a practice pad, and a metronome. If you're going to buy everything outright, a pair of drumsticks is about $10. A practice pad, we'll say the 6-inch is about $20. And you could probably get a good metronome for about $25. So right now you're in for your drum equipment at about $55. So for $55, you can get started on the drums. Like I said, that is drumsticks, practice pad, standalone metronome. If you have a phone that will run the applications, you can find a decent one. You could even do it for as low as like $35. So The reason why we go over this first is we just want to dispel the myth that it costs tons and tons of money to get started playing the drums. So we've just proven that you can do it for as little as $35, get started playing, and that will last you for a couple months, quite honestly. If you spend the majority of your time just practicing rudiments, reading exercises, and snare drum exercises, you can go quite a few months with just that equipment and have a really great start to your drumming career. All right, so for those of you who may have a little bit more of a budget, or for those of you who are ready and you come back at a later time, you've saved up some more money and now you're ready to get a drum set, we're going to cover some ideas for that as well. So back to percussion, or drums and percussion, acoustic drums. We're going to go see what we've got available here. We're going to acoustic drum set. And then you're going to have way too many choices, 587. We need to narrow that down. So what we want to go do is find whatever website you're using. There should be a section that will allow you to narrow it down by your configuration. So you have the options here. You have shell packs, drum sets, and junior drum sets. Shell packs are just the drums. There's no hardware, no cymbals, or anything included. If you have some of that existing stuff, that might be a great option for you. But I'm going to set this up as for a person who has no equipment at all and they're just getting started. So we want to select drum sets in the middle. A junior drum set is more like for a little kid, so they're going to be smaller sizes. So we're going to go for drum set. And that gets us down to 89, which is a lot better to handle. And then over here, you've got your price range. It allows you to set your budget. I'm going to select the first two, the 200 to 300 and the 300 to 500. Now, obviously, the higher you go, the nicer the drum set you're going to get. But like I said, that's going to be completely up to you. So with that search result, we're down to 18, which is a lot better for us here. So for our intro series drums, Pearl and Ludwig put out a lot of good drum sets. As you can see, one of the most popular is this Pearl Roadshow series. And you're going to get pretty much what you see here. You're going to get a 5-piece drum set with a couple pieces of hardware. You'll see exactly what you get. You get a 5-piece drum set, which are standard sizes, so that's good. 22-inch bass drum, 14-inch snare, a 10-inch tom, a 12-inch tom, and a 16-inch floor tom. You also get a cymbal stand, a hi-hat stand, snare stand, the mounting hardware for the toms, a bass drum pedal, and you also get a 16-inch crash ride and a 14-inch set of hi-hats. Also included are 2 drumsticks, a stick bag, a Pearl poster, and a drum throne. So really, you've got everything you need to get started completely as far as equipment on a set of drums right here. So if you're coming back after saving up some extra money, for those of you on a lower budget, or for those of you who really want to get started with the drum set, here you have it, where you can get started with pretty much everything except for a metronome for around $479. Now, Pearl is known to make high quality drums, so I really feel like this drum set could get you started and along your way in your drumming career and be a great first drum set, and it will last you for the first couple of years of your drumming career. Now, if that is still a little bit too much of on your budget, there is some other options available. You could get the 4-piece setup, which should include everything that was included in that 5-piece, except you're just you get 2 toms instead of 4. This is a little bit smaller of a drum set, but I believe that you would get most of the same stuff. So just, yep, you would still get the cymbals. I don't know that you're gonna get the I'm looking to see, includes a drum throne. Okay, that's good. What about a pedal? Cymbals included. So I'm not sure about the pedal part, but it includes pretty much everything else. So like I said, if you're looking to save a little bit more money, it says all hardware is included, so I'm assuming that includes a pedal too. This one is going for $400. So there's an option there for a little bit of savings. And then let's look at a couple of the other ones. Let me go in and take off the 3 or 500. Let's see what the lower ends are like. Then you've got a few of these. Those are junior drum sets, so they're going to be smaller. Let me see what this Questlove is all about here. Yep, this includes everything too. This is going to be a little bit smaller of a drum set, but you do get all of your hardware, and you get a couple cymbals, starter cymbals to get started with. So like I said, if you really want to get on the drums, you're on an extremely limited budget, you could get one of these for about $250. Another option too is if you want to go down this route, you could also get the drums used. There are plenty of drum sets out there on things like Craigslist. So if we go and do a search in your local area, let's see, always want to have drums or the images included. So let's look at drums. You'll find a wide variety of drumming things and accessories. So here's a beginner set for $100. Like I said, you're gonna get what you get. A lot of times it's better to buy them new because you can get all your stuff included, cymbals and everything. But like I said, I mean, if you really need to, I'm sure you can find a decent used drum kit for a couple $100. So that's an alternative as well. All right. One more thing I wanted to show you too before we leave this lesson. Like I said, you can get a good used drum or a good drum set for between $250 and $500 if you wanted to get started that way. But another thing that you might want to consider if we go back to drums is electric drums. The reason is that if you're at a place where the volume is going to be an issue, you might want to consider electric drums. They still make noise, but they're quite a bit less in volume. And you can just throw your headphones on and you can practice. The other advantage of electric drums is that you don't have to worry about all the tuning that goes along with that. You can just plug them up and they're ready to go. And if you have to do a gig, you will have to get an external speaker or things like that, but they're a little bit easier to control in a live situation. They also allow you to experiment with different sounds because you can change the sound of the drum kit by just a turn of a knob. And a lot of times the electric drum sets come with some preloaded songs that you could practice along with. So those are some advantages of that. All right, electric drums, you can get them in a similar price range as a set of acoustic drums for starters. As you can see, here is a variety of drum set options here. The only issue that you might run in with the electric drums is that a lot of times they do not include a seat or throne, and they may not include a bass drum pedal. So you need to consider that when you're looking at these prices. You may have to buy those things, which is probably going to add an additional $100 to the price that you see here. But like I said, for between $350 and about $500, you can get an electric drum set. So that is an option for you. All right, so we've introduced a variety of things here of how you can get started. You can get started with just a practice pad and a set of drumsticks and a metronome for around $50. Or you can buy a starter drum set for those of you with a little bit greater budget, or if you're coming back after saving up some money, you can get your first drum set for anywhere between $250 and $500. All right, so I hope that helped you get some ideas on what you need to get started on the drums, and I hope that showed you that it doesn't take quite as much money as a lot of people probably will say that you need to get started. Drums are like anything else. You can spend hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars, but you certainly don't need to do that to get started. So that'll conclude the first lesson in our series, and we'll be back in the next installment to show you some other things on how to get started on the drums.